before I dive into the mechanics of how cells divide, I think it could be useful to talk a little bit about a lot of the vocabulary that surrounds DNA. There's a lot of words, and some of them kind of sound like each other, but they can be very confusing. So the first few I'd like to talk about is just about how DNA either generates more DNA, makes copies of itself, or how it essentially makes proteins. And we've talked about this in the DNA video. So let's say I have I'm just going to draw a small section of DNA. Let's say I have an A, a G, a T. Let's say I have 2 T's, and then I have 2 C's. Just some small section. It keeps going. And of course, it's a double helix. It has its corresponding bases. Let me do that in this color. So A corresponds to T, G with C. It forms hydrogen bonds with C, T with A, T with A, C with G, C with G. And then, of course, it just keeps going on in that direction. So there's a couple of different processes that this DNA has to do. One is when you're just dealing with your body cells and you need to make more versions of, let's say, your skin cells, your DNA has to copy itself. And this process is called replication. You're replicating the DNA. So let me do replication. So how can this DNA copy itself? And this is one of the beautiful things about how DNA is structured. Replication. So I'm doing a gross oversimplification, but the idea is these 2 strands separate, and that doesn't happen on its own. It's facilitated by a bunch of proteins and enzymes, but I'll talk about that, the details of the microbiology in a future video. So let me make separate. So these guys separate from each other. Let me put it up here. They separate from each other, and let me take the other guy.